All right, my watch shows 3 o'clock, so I'm going to turn the time over to Ryan Gravett, who is going to be our expert for this session. I know he has a lot of content to cover, so we'll get started.
All right, hello everyone. It's good to see everyone participating in these, and I hope we've saved some great information for you here as we continue on in this series. And it's the last series. I know I'm standing between you and some great information, as well as some hopefully some great prizes here at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. We wanted to go through, and we've got a couple of items for you here today. First of all, we wanted to talk a little bit more about portals and talk about registering for an event in portals and walk you through that process. The second thing we wanted to do is talk a little bit more about Chromebooks. Boy, those are getting popular, and I can see why. We just looked at purchasing a Chromebook lab here for the office, and they're great devices. But you know, there are a little bit of challenges in terms of utilizing those with IDLA classes. We're going to talk about the process of utilizing those in Blackboard, and then talk about them in terms of Schoology, our new learning management platform as well. We are going to talk a little bit about FastPass and some of the updates to FastPass that have come on in the last month, and that will be coming out again next month. So some cool updates there. And then also we're going to be talking about the communications area in the student information system, how you can utilize that, and how also you can reduce the amount of emails that you're getting from us. If you're one of those people that are saying, boy, I just get hundreds of emails from IDLA every day, we're going to talk to you about how you can change that and reduce that down to about 3 or 4. So hopefully you'll like that. And then also we'll talk about observing a student in Schoology, a little bit of what that looks like. And then we're going to talk about some of the 5 most frequently asked questions. And as you can see here, we are pushing the time limit of this just in time. So we're going to get started, and we're going to go quickly. I hope you've buckled your seatbelts. So the first item we're going to do is we're going to talk about registering for an event in portals. And portals are a tool that we're quickly expanding on in terms of their utility and their utilization for you and your districts. And the first step of that is creating an account. And so I'm going to take a second here and share my screen, and we are going to do some live application and screen sharing here, which is always a danger for us people that are in technology. But what we have, and you should be able to see this now, is I am at our portal account, and I'm doing everything in test today, our test environment, and you can see that is labeled up here. But if you want to, you can follow along with me and make sure you get your own portal account just by going to IDLA portal, idiglearning.net. So I'm going to go back into the chat here, and I know you see the infinite loop here, and I'm going to paste that in here. So idiglearning.net, and you can follow along and create your own portal login. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing that you need to know is that if you are a site coordinator for Idaho Digital Learning, you have a portal account. We just need to reset the password so you know what that password is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the login screen here, and then we're going to click this forgot your username and password. Now I know you didn't forget your username and password, you didn't have one, but this is the process that we're using to make sure that you get the right information. Then in this little box here, you're going to put in your email. So I'm going to put in my email address here of ryan.gravett@idaho-digital-learning.org, and I'm going to click continue. And what that's going to do is it's going to look me up in the system, and then it's going to email me what my login is and give me a link to set up a new password. So let me show you, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. So this is what it looks like in your email. You're going to get this email in, and you can see I have 5,500 emails, so I need to do some work still tonight. But your email will look just like this. Right up here at the top, you can see here's the username. It also gives you the username right down below here, so you can copy that. And then also it gives you a link to reset your password. And so you go ahead and click that link to reset your password. It gives you the ability to do that. And I'm going to set up a password. And I suggest you make that a nice, strong password. Or I like to tell people one of the best things to do is create a passphrase rather than a password, which isn't as secure as it used to be. Try thinking of a passphrase. Like instead of talking about your dog's name as your password, try using something that your dog likes to do, like my dog likes to fetch. And I know that seems a lot longer to type out, but it's so much more secure. So anyways, we go ahead and click Update Password. And what it will do is it will update that password, and then you can go to the login screen. You now know what your username is and your password. So that's how you set up your account. And once you're logged in, you'll see your name up at the top, and you have a portal account. Now, we're going to be delivering more and more resources around portal accounts, so you'll have lots and lots of opportunities to get information about how to create your account if I went a little bit too fast. So this is just your first introduction to that. Don't worry, if I went a little bit fast, you're going to have lots of opportunities for us to present this information to you and show you how to do that within context of doing something. So let's go ahead and do something now. I'm going to close these tabs. We're going to come back, and let's talk about registering for an event. So now what I am is I'm on a portal. This happens to be the Education Resource Library, or EARL, at the State Department of Education. But it could also be any other portal location. Perhaps it would be a professional development site for IDLA. And so if you look into PD courses, you can see we have professional development that we're getting together just for site coordinators. So this doesn't have, it can be any one of the portals, and your login now works for every portal. So now that you've created a login for iDig Learning, you can actually come to EARL or to any of the other portals that we have, and your login will work on all those portals now. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to search for a training that we have set up called Example Training. So you can see there's a whole bunch of items in this resource library, but I'm going to search for one called Example. All right, so here's that example course down here. Once I have logged in, I just go ahead and click on that example course. It shows that there's 100 seats available, and so I can click the magnifying glass to get more information about that session that's being offered. It's free, it's online, there's no assigned instructor yet, and it's for no credits, but I'll register for it. So it brings me my confirmation page. I click confirm, and now I, as a site coordinator, am registered for that course. I just got an email on my phone which talks about that course that I was just enrolled in, and if it were an online course, then it would show up in my portal just like it shows up for students in their portal when they log in. So that is how you register for an event through the portal. So we went through creating an account and registering on an event. So I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to stop my screen sharing, which is right here. And I'm going to take a look at the chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put that in chat. I went in a whirlwind and went through that quickly, but again, you're going to have an opportunity to utilize this more in the future as we deliver more and more resources through the portal to you. Looks like Lou is in the chat window as well. If you have any tech issues, feel free to text him as we go along. All right, well, I'm going to start up our presentation again and pull up. So this is what it looks like. Here's a screenshot of what that looks like when you're enrolled in a course. You'll end up getting a Schoology login or an enrollment in a class, and you'll be able to take those classes. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Chromebooks. And the first thing that I wanted to make sure everybody knew was that we have the ability to identify if a course is Chromebook compatible from the start. So you may be wondering, can this student take this course with a Chromebook? We have the information about Chromebooks and iPads actually in the course catalog that you can take a look at. So I wanted to walk through how you would find that. If you go to our course catalog, and it's available on idiglearning.net or a lot of different locations, you can come into the catalog and search for an item and find out whether or not it's Chromebook compatible. I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll take a look at how that looks. So let's go back to navigate slides. All right, so I'm here at the course catalog. If you're wondering how did I get here, there's a couple ways I can get here. Number one, I can get to it from the portal. There's a course catalog on the portal that I can get to. The other way you can get to that is through our website. You can take a look at the course catalog here, and it takes you to the same location. So the course catalog, or just by pulling up the portal. Once I'm in the catalog, I can search for a course, and let's look for a programming course. Programming. There we go. So I can look at AP Computer Science B, and if I click the view information, it gives a lot of information about that computer science. And there's a tab right here that shows the requirements. If it shows Mac and Windows compatible, that means that that course is only compatible with Mac and Windows currently. If it's compatible for a Chromebook, then you can take a look. I'm going to do a search for pathways. And if I look at the requirements, you can see it has Chromebook, Mac, and Windows compatible. And if we put out a course that's iPad compatible, then we will also add iPad in there as well. So the compatibility information of a course on Chromebooks is located in the catalog itself. Now, we've had a few requests. Can you just show me a list of all the Chromebook compatible courses? And we're working on making sure that we can do that for you. One of the things you can do is you can do a search for Chromebook, I believe, and it'll show all that in a list. But that's a long ways away, or the long way of doing it, and we'll do a better job of getting you a list of all the Chromebook compatible courses. All right. So I can stop my sharing. Let's talk about Chromebooks with Blackboard and what that looks like. So when a student on a Chromebook, and all these screenshots are taken from a Chromebook, when a student goes to do an assignment in Chromebook, a lot of our assignments have template files. Those template files are almost always in a Word document format. So Chromebooks will play with these Word document formats, but sometimes have challenges. When a student on a Chromebook clicks on a Word document, in this case they're going to be clicking on this academic honesty agreement, then they're going to get a screen that looks just about like this, where they have information on the document, including the .docx at the end, and then as soon as they start typing it, it'll say edits will not automatically be saved. What has happened is that this document was opened in the Chromebook in a temporary location. So the student has to go and save that, and they can do that by clicking on that Save Now link. Once they click on the Save Now link, they're going to be taken to an area where they can choose where they're going to save it. And it's really important when they choose this that they don't choose the Downloads area. because what happens when they do the downloads area is it limits the function of Google Docs. And instead, they want to save it in the Google Drive. And I highly recommend that when they save it in the Google Drive, they create an IDLA folder, and then they create a new folder for each one of their classes, and they always save it in that structure. It gives them a good habit for how to organize the things that they save in their courses. So again, an IDLA folder or an IDL folder, and then the name of the course, and then save it in there. I also highly recommend, if you saw the screen before this one, that everyone always saves a document with their name in front of it. And so when they're working on homework, rather than just keeping it the same name, putting their name in front of it. And what that does is it makes sure that the student, when they're selecting the file for upload, knows that they're selecting the file that they edited rather than the file that they downloaded previously, because the one with their name on it will be the one that they've been working on. So they create that folder and save it. Now what happens is that the file will be saved, and as you can see at the top of the screen there, it says that all edits will now be saved automatically. What this means is that every time they type in a letter, just like a Google Doc, it automatically saves it, which is why we want to save that in the Google Drive and not in the downloads area. Then back on the Chromebook, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be going back into this assignment and clicking on the link up at the top to turn it in. When they go to turn it in, they're going to have to select on Browse My Computer, and when they do that, they're going to have to go back to their careers homework folder, find the file that they want, and click on it, and then open it. Okay? So they're going to have to go back into that academic honesty contract location, click on it, open it, and submit it. And when they do, it will be uploaded as a Word document. So Chromebooks have gotten a little bit better with how they handle these documents. You just have to take that process step by step. Now, one of the things that always seems to happen is that people forget and they just download it to their downloads folder. Well, if you want, you can contact, there is a settings that you can change in Google administration to be able to make it so that it will default to the Google Drive instead of defaulting to the downloads area. And if you guys need any help with that, our technology team is glad to help you with doing that, or your technology director. They can call me at any time, and I'll put my cell phone in the end of the chat window here. They can call me at any time, and we can walk them through changing that setting, because it really makes it a lot easier on the kids if they don't have that download folder and it just goes directly to their Google Drive. The other case in which they may have challenges in submitting a document is when they are creating a document from scratch. If they're creating a document from scratch, of course, I always recommend that they utilize the folder structure that we just talked about, IDLA, then the course name, then their name on it, and then the assignment title. But also that when they go to save it, they save it as a PDF and upload it into Blackboard. They can also save it as a document.doc format in their Google Drive. But if they save it as a PDF, we know that the way it looked on the Google document is the way it's going to look when they turn it into their teacher. Sometimes things will look a little bit different when they get converted from a Google Doc to a Word doc, or a Word doc to a Google Doc. So to avoid that, I always recommend that students download it as a PDF and then upload it into Blackboard as a PDF. Blackboard does a great job of accepting those PDFs. Well, as many of you know, we are moving away from Blackboard, and we anticipate that the spring of 2019 will be the last time people see Blackboard courses for Idaho Digital Learning. But in the meantime, we do have a pilot running of the courses, and we're starting to run courses this summer into production, and we have a huge portion of our classes that are planned to utilize Schoology coming this fall. So what does it look like in Schoology? In Schoology, this is what a course looks like, and we've got an assignment that they're going to have to go and click on to upload. So we went into the unit, and there's an assignment there. And on the right-hand corner, they can see that there's the ability to submit an assignment. Now, they can submit an assignment the way that they've always done that, or they can actually go in and attach their Google Drive into Schoology. So Schoology has the cool functionality where they can link their Google Drive into Schoology. So the way that they would do that is they would go into this resources section on the right-hand side and then link up their Google Drive. Give me a second here, and I'm going to pause, and I'll do some quick screen sharing to show you what that looks like. While I'm loading that up, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me any questions. All right, I'm not seeing any in the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll walk through what that looks like. All right, so you should now log into Schoology, and got a little sandbox course that I play around with here. And over on the right-hand side, you'll see the resources area. So for a student to link their Google Drive into, or Office 365 Drive for that matter, into Schoology, they just go into the apps area. And you can see that there is a Google Resource Drive. This has already been added, but if it hadn't been added, I'm just going to uninstall it so I can show you what that looks like. Then it would pop up here, and I can choose, I want to add my Google Drive. And then it would ask me for my login and password, and it would connect up my Google Drive into Schoology. I can also connect up other resources as well. There's Dropbox, there's Office 365, there's Evernote, there's all sorts of options. Once Google Drive is connected, then it becomes available to me when I'm submitting an assignment. So let's go back to this sandbox course that I have, and let's jump into this Unit 5 of photosynthesis for science. So here's a lab, and if I wanted to turn in my lab, what I would do is I would go to the Submit Assignment button, and then I would go to my resources because I'm going to pull it up from Google Drive, and then select Apps, and you can see that it pulls up my Google Drive. So here's a whole bunch of Google documents that I have in my drive, and here's a Word document. Here's that academic honesty. I could click on that academic honesty, or one of the cool things about the integration with Schoology is I can just click on my Google. I can click on my Google Doc as well. I click Import and Import File, and you can see what it's doing is it's importing both of those files, and then submits both of those files as items for this assignment. So there's no converting of a Google Doc to a PDF or a Word doc to try to submit it. All they have to do is go into the attached Google Drive and add it. And Schoology does all the rest in converting it into a format that the teacher can review. So you can see here, there's my academic honesty contract as an example of the one that I submitted. So some great functionality there in Schoology, and we love the Google integration, and there's even more great Google integration to come. We feel like we've got to take Schoology in little baby bites, and the first one is converting all the courses over, but there's even the ability to down the road have the opportunity to turn in an assignment from within Google. You don't even have to exit your Google Doc. There would just be a button to turn it in for their course. So really cool opportunities with Schoology. We're just taking things a little bit at a time, and we're excited that even that is so much easier in being able to submit those assignments. So that's Chromebooks within Schoology in the Google Drive. And I just wanted to check and see if there are any questions. So I'm going to come back to the chat. Looks like there's one chat. Oh, thanks, Kristen. Great reminder. For those of you who are wondering what those cohort V2s are, what we've been doing is we've been trying to ensure that each course, as it gets converted into Schoology, has a chance to run for the first time, kind of like a alpha, if you will, or a beta, and before we release it to all the sections. And so sometimes you'll see a cohort V2 and a cohort version of it. The cohort V2 has the Schoology, are all Schoology-based courses, and if you have an opportunity to enroll in one of those, I highly recommend the Schoology version over the Blackboard version. Kids are just going to love the Schoology app, and a lot of the Google integration that you've seen becomes available to them as well. So if you have an option between a cohort V2 and a regular cohort, I recommend the V2 option. Thanks, Kristen. All right. Let's see, we are on with the show, and that is talking about FastPass updates. So for those of you who don't know, FastPass is a technology that we added around 5 years ago that allows students to have a passcode and register themselves for courses. And what that means is that they know you don't have to type in all their first name, last name, all that information. Students can do that and then submit it to you for your approval. So I'm going to give an example of that in just a minute. But you have the ability to create those passes. Yeah, thank you, Mitzi, talking about loving FastPass. So starting May 28th, and that's our target date, FastPasses will no longer require that you choose a single session or academic program. So you can see here in the area where it has choose the academic program and choose a session, and those are, FastPass only lasts for that long. Starting May 28th, you can create a FastPass that isn't tied to a specific program or session, which allows you to create a single pass that would work for fall, spring, and summer, for example, or would work for flex and cohort classes, or cohort and cohort version 2 classes, which are Schoology classes. So if you're used to having to deal with all these different codes, you can create a single code and then always have that code available to your students and not have to worry about creating a new code every semester. It always has the ability, if you want, to close down that code and open up a new code, or to limit that code, but we really wanted to open that up for those of you that have requested having that open for a longer period of time. The other great thing about FastPass is that you may not know is that you can actually, there's this checkbox in here that says show on school portal course catalog. And for those of you that don't know, you can check that little box, and what it does is it turns on a flag so that when you are looking at that course in the course catalog that we have available for students, students can just click on the button to register. So in this case, I took an example. You can see we're on the test server here, but I took Mountain Home Senior High School as an example, and they have the ability to click on this course catalog. And then when they click on the course catalog, if the FastPass has that checked, the FastPass will show up in the catalog for them. And so you can just point them to the catalog, and they don't even have to put in the code. You can just register from the catalog. So you can, so they don't even have to memorize what the pass is. If you check that box, it will show up here, and they can just click register from the catalog itself. Now this will be even better when we have the codes that work from session to session, because you can set up that session code and just kind of forget about it, and then just have kids register directly through the catalog and not have to worry about even handing out those passes if you don't want to. Again, to be able to do that, you have to have your portal with the catalog enabled. And when you do that and you set up that FastPass, then students all of a sudden get that register button. What happens when they click that register button? It will take them into FastPass with the FastPass code already put in. And so we made a few visual changes to FastPass to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And you can see here, there's the gray, what they would put in their username or the state ID number. And then when they click on that box, it minimizes, but it still shows what they need. So in this case, if they're already logged into the portal, then they wouldn't even have this returning student screen. They would instantly be taken into selecting what course they want. So lots of cool functionality there. If they haven't created an account before, then they would fill out their information for the account. And as before, when they request a course, it always comes to you first for your approval. So you have the opportunity to review the information that they've put in and take a look at whether or not you want to approve that. So again, if you don't have a portal, those are free, no extra cost. You get to brand it. You get to add or remove courses. So if there's certain courses that your school doesn't want to have offered, then you just uncheck them and they don't show up in the catalog, and then students can register directly. But the reason we've done it this way, rather than just make it available to everybody to register for any course, is that we want to give the power to you as a school district to decide how you want to run registration in your school. And every school is different across the state, but we wanted to make it as easy as, if you want to, just click that button and they can register through the portals. All right. Yes, it will be a lot easier to manage that one pass that will go across sessions, and I think that'll make it much better for you, those of you that are using the catalogs and the registration through the catalogs. All right, next item, using communications. So the communication system within Thesis, and Thesis is what we call our student information system. It's kind of a little running joke because for the longest time we didn't have a name for it, and so we always called it the SIS, and eventually it kind of merged together and it's called Thesis now. So a little inside joke there, which is the and SIS combined together. Anyways, so Thesis is our student information system, and what you can see in the when you log in is a menu over here on the left-hand side. And some of you probably haven't clicked on all the different options. You know, if you're a little nerdy like me, then the first thing you do in an application is click on everything. But if you haven't had a chance to click on the My Profile information down at the bottom, what we have there is a hidden little gem, and that is your communications preferences. And so what you can do is you can actually go in and change what type of preferences you want for your communication. Now this only applies to the automatic emails that occur, but those are registration emails, confirmation emails, orientation emails, grade report emails, and other automated emails. And you can come in and you can edit this to choose whether or not you want to get them, and if you do get them, how frequently you want them. So what will happen is that you can come in and, for example, grade reports, if you don't want to get an email for every single grade report, you can click on that, edit this, click on the weekly list and save it, and instead of getting a grade report as soon as it comes in, once a week you will get a single grade report with all the students in that one email. And that's the same thing for registration email. If you don't want to get a single registration and an enrollment email every single time, you can click that Daily Digest button, and what it'll do is it'll aggregate all the registration and enrollment emails into one email at the very end of the day. So this does not work with our teacher emails for for our teachers that want to get communication to you. Right now, it only works with the automated system emails. So if you have a problem with our teachers emailing you too much or CCing to you too much in some of those things, I totally understand. And you know, it's one of those areas that we want to add in some teacher emails in here too, and basically give them the ability, if there's an emergency, to be able to click on a button to send it right away. But if not, just allow it to be aggregated. But that's one of those features of the backlog that we really want to get to, but haven't had time to yet. So this is where we're at. This is where we're at with aggregating those emails, so you don't just get that flood of those automated emails to you all the time. All right, I'm going to pause real quick and take a look at the chat window, which is blown up a little bit. We've got 13 unread messages here. So it looks like we've got some great people in chat that have been answering a lot of the questions here. Let's see. Okay, so one of the things that was a question was, how do we, is there any way to get automated emails tied to FastPass requests? Yes, it's interesting. The FastPass system was created before we created what we call the workflow system. And the workflow system will send you an automated email every day of all the things and tasks you have in your task list to do. You've gotten those emails if you've ever had any extensions waiting, right? Because that uses our workflow system. And so one of the things that was a request that we wanted to do was to get the communications around the FastPass into that workflow system as well. Right now, what we did is we took a look at the complexity of that and the skill set that we had, and when we have a new programmer working on it, on a lot of these changes that you're seeing today, and what we felt is that it was a little bit too complex for that programmer that just started with us a couple months ago. And so we put that one on the back burner, but that's where we hope to put all those extension requests are in the same workflow area, not extensions. That's where we hope to get all those registration requests from FastPass, is in that workflow area. So it's just a single area that has all the tasks that need to be done. And that's where our goal to put it is. And if I were optimistic, I would say, hey, let's try to get something done this fall. We think that he'll have the skill set to do that this fall, but at this point I can't promise around the delivery times, but that's where we want to have it. And I totally agree with you guys that it would be nice to have that automated email as part of that. All right, let's go to the next portion, which is about sending communications. So communications system in Thesis has got a lot of cool functionality. So this is the top menu item in your site coordinator home in Thesis. And in that area, you will have the ability to see all the communications that have gone on to students that you're in charge of. And so this should include all the emails from their teachers, all the automated emails. All of those should be in this area, and you can do filters to filter communications, or you can create a new email, which is in the upper left-hand corner of that. Now you might think to yourself, new email, that's not all that impressive, but it's got a lot of connectivity that makes it a little bit cooler than just a traditional email from your email system. Now I've blurred out names to protect the innocent here, but you can choose a reason, and then this is the cool part, you can actually choose all the recipients that this goes to. So you can choose to have this go to all the teachers, for example. So let's say you have a snow day and you need to email all the teachers that it would be nice if your students got an extension because of your snow day. What you can do is you can uncheck the student, check the teacher, make sure you select all students, and then send that one email from here, and it's going to get to all the teachers for all of your students. You also have the ability to send an email out to all the parents at the same time. So you just click student and home contact, and that would send out an email to the students and the parents. So if you're getting ready to do proctoring, which I know some of you have already started this week, but if you're getting ready to do proctoring, you can check those boxes, student, home contact, and send out an email around proctoring and say, hey, students and parents, just wanted to give you an update around our proctoring and the times that will be available to set up a proctored final. For us, we use Eventbrite when we're doing some of those types of things, and so we could send the Eventbrite link in that email that's sent through this system. We use Eventbrite so that they have to schedule and sign up for a slot that we would have available. There's also the ability to filter by school. If you have district level, you can choose by school. You can select by course. You can select by teacher. You can select by those who have had historical enrollments or those who have enrollments that are going to start in the future. All sorts of different options that you can utilize to filter out communications and get those just to the people that you want to get them to. So it's a little bit more powerful than just an email. It really allows you to send that out. And the other thing that you can see over here on the right-hand side is it also gives you information from the most current progress report. So if you wanted to send an email out to all the parents for students that aren't passing, you can sort it by their percentile grade and then check all the boxes on the left-hand side here for the students that aren't passing and then send out an email to them. So lots and lots of different options there for sending out communications through Thesis. All right, you can also use the same system to log different communications that you've had. In a student status page, there's a little communications box, and you can utilize that communications box to send an email directly to that student, to view the communications that have come to that student. It aggregates all those logs together, or to create a quick little note on the student as well. So the student status also has the communications in that little communication bubble there. All right. So let's talk about observing students in Schoology. So for those of you that have observed students in Blackboard, you're familiar with that process. And observing students in Schoology is fairly similar, but it's got some great enhanced functionality. So over here, in the same screen that we were just in, this student status screen, which is a great screen to take a lot of actions on. There's a little magnifying glass on the right-hand side. And yeah, it's small, so you may not be aware of it, but what that allows you to do is to log in as an observer of that student. And in Schoology, it acts the same way. What it's going to do when you click that magnifying glass is automatically log you into Schoology as an observer for that student in that class. So you can see here, I instantly got logged into the Pathways course for this student. And over on the right hand, if you, I blurred it out, but this is from my son. My son takes our classes. All my sons take our classes. So in any case, he is on Unit 7 of our Pathways to Success class. And by clicking on that observe icon, again, it's that little icon down in the right-hand corner for Schoology, then I get into the class. I can see all the course, and you can see all the completes along the left-hand side. That shows that he's completed those elements of the course. So as he completes the different units, a little checkbox comes up next to that unit. If it's in progress, I could click on that unit, and it'll show all the areas that he's read through and completed there as well. On the right-hand side, it shows all the due dates that are coming up for Alex, and you can see all the items that he needs to be working on and that are due or potentially overdue, right? So one of the other things you can do is click on this student progress button for the student, and you'll instantly be taken into where they're at and all the assignments that they're supposed to be doing and where they're at on those assignments. So you can scroll through the entire course and see how far they are on Unit 7 or Unit 6, whether or not they're in progress on discussion boards. You can see all that information there. So in this case, when I took this screenshot, my son was 75% through Unit 7. He's almost done, which is good because we're almost done with courses for the spring. All right. The other thing you can do is you can click on the updates, and the updates area will give you all the announcements that have gone on. In this case, his teacher was giving announcements around Unit 7 and little comedic information there about group projects because they were working on group projects. You can also click on this little calendar icon in Schoology as well. And what happens when you click on that calendar icon in Schoology? You are presented with a calendar of every single due date of items in this course. If the student's enrolled in multiple courses, guess what? You get to see multiple colors, one for each course. And each one of the due dates will be, of the assignments, will be highlighted in this, and you can see the items that they have coming up. So you can see I took this screenshot on Sunday, and here's all of the assignments that are due for Unit 7 for this calendar week. And so all the assignments that are due pop up there. You don't see any Unit 8 items because they're not available yet, but you can see a calendar view or a week view or a day view of all the things that are going to be due for that student. Finally, you can take a look at the grade report. And so you just click on grades, and it'll give all of that student's current grades. You can look through and see how they're doing on different items. You can get the feedback from the teacher in that area, and you can see the current score as well. So that is an accurate score based upon the items that are due at that time. So since we saw that Unit 7 had a couple of items that weren't due yet, that wouldn't be counted in the grade book until they were due. Once they're due, then it counts against that student. So you can, at any time, come into Schoology and get a snapshot of that student's exact grade as of that time. Now, some teachers will have things due throughout the week. Some teachers will wait until the end of the week to have things due. So just know that even though something is assigned, it isn't calculated in this current grade until it's late. I know the calendar is so much cooler than it is in Blackboard. There's lots of cooler things about Schoology than Blackboard, let me tell you. So that is the items within Schoology and observing Schoology, and I think we're now to the part of our presentation about the 5 most frequently asked tech questions. Before I get in that, I'm going to pause a little bit for questions, and I'm also going to review back through my slides to make sure I didn't miss anything. You guys don't have to be shy. So getting back to our agenda, we went through and we took a look at portals. We talked about Chromebooks and Schoology and Blackboard. We didn't show the knowledge base, but I can show you that real quick. I'll have to share my screen to show that. We talked about the FastPass and the update from development. We talked about communications area and the flow of communications and limiting communications. And we talked about the new observer role in Schoology. And so I'm going to show you the knowledge base. It looks like I was missing that item in my slide deck, so I'll show you that right now. And then we'll go to the frequently asked questions. So give me a second while I pull up our knowledge base. While I'm doing that, I will say that it's been a lot of work changing student information systems. You can imagine that student information system change for us, a learning management system change from Blackboard to Schoology is tantamount in some ways to the changing student information systems like it is for you in the school district. And I've been through a couple of those when I was in the school district, and let me tell you, those are no fun. But changing the learning management platform for us has been a lot of work as well. And one of the things that we realized is that we have to actually change every single article that we've written about for support around these areas as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll show you the new knowledge base that's going to be coming out here with the launch of Buzz on the 21st. So I will share my screen. All right, so this is the new knowledge base here. It's going to function very similarly to the old knowledge base, where it will have information on for teachers and principals, students and parents, and site coordinators. If I click on site coordinators, there's information for the student information system, but there will also be information for portals in that area as well. Students will have new information on Schoology. How do they check their grades, or how do they get into e-tutoring? How do they file an extension? We actually went back through analytics and found out that these articles are getting pretty heavy use. So if you ever need to point a student towards information, specifically information that is IDLA specific, I keep on saying IDLA, I should be saying Idaho Digital Learning. In any case, those items that are Idaho Digital Learning specific, you can do that. Here, how do I access the help feature in Buzz, for example? I can click on that, and then what it'll do is it'll bring up the knowledge base article that we have in Google Docs about how to do that. And so this is the new knowledge base. The old knowledge base is also a Google site, but it isn't kind of in the new flow of Google sites. And any article that used to talk about Blackboard in our old knowledge base will now forward to the Schoology article and a new knowledge base. So if you have any old links that are still pointing to the old knowledge base, don't worry about that. All of those will point back to the places that they're supposed to be at. And so be looking for that by the new knowledge base by the end of the month, as we work to fill out all the articles for Buzz and for Brain Honey instead of Blackboard and Brain Honey. Schoology and Buzz, not Blackboard and Brain Honey. I don't know if I said that right or not, but that's what I meant to say. All right. So let's go into the final part of our presentation here, and that is the top 5 options for tech. And we'll go through those. So it might surprise you, but what is my password is a very frequent question. And the great thing is that they can either reset their password in the same way that I showed you to reset your password for portals at the beginning of this presentation. They can call our tech support, always available. Or if you want to, you can change their password. So if you come into the Student Hub, you can go into and you can see all the logins that we have for the different systems that we use with them. And you can see down in the bottom part, there's a button to click to say reset the password. So you can actually reset the password from within Thesis for any of your students. And if you click on that button, it just resets it to IDLA 1234, I think. So you definitely want to have them change that password, but it will reset the password in any of the systems that we have, or most importantly, in the portals, because moving forward, the portals will be the primary way in which students access all resources. In fact, we plan by the beginning of next year to have it be the only way that students access resources. Next item is, did my assignment get submitted correctly? So what they can do is they can actually go into their gradebook and click on the assignment itself, and they can review that that assignment was submitted correctly. If you remember back to when I was showing Schoology, I showed you that there was the ability to take a look at the item that was submitted, and you can do that. You can do that within Blackboard as well. And what they would do is they would just go into their gradebook, they would take a look at the assignment that they thought they submitted, and they can view their attempt. And what it'll do is it'll show the same view that the teacher's going to have when they look at that assignment. And in Blackboard, they're utilizing a technology called Box to do that. And in in Schoology, it's built within Schoology to show that. So if they can't see their assignment there, then their assignment didn't get submitted correctly. Also now with the new Observe functionality with Schoology, if you have a Schoology course, which is again we're calling V2, cohort V2, then you can just click that Observe icon, that magnifying glass, and you can go in and see their assignments and whether they they got submitted correctly. How do I create a portal account? So students just need to click on the link in their email. In some cases, it gets into a spam box or it doesn't get through a spam filter, but they would just click on that link in email. If they don't have that link in email, they can go into forgot password and put in their email address. Sometimes what we find is that students will have an incorrect email address put in. Sometimes it'll just be a typing error of some sort, or a transcription error, or a name change. In any case, if they didn't receive that email, you can always go back into that communication log for the student, like I showed you previously in that communications area. Just click on the little communication pod for the student, and all the emails with the links to communications log to the student can be found in there. And so even if they didn't receive that email, you can copy and paste that link out and give that link to the student. So lots of different ways in which you can do that. Yes, thank you. Tech support can also do that, and they can chat tech support, and we can help them with that as well. That's the best way if we want to get the right email address to do that as well. How many assignments do I need to turn in to pass this class? A funny question to be asking technical support, but surprisingly enough, we get it a lot, especially around this time of year. And so we always say that students should focus on turning in all assignments. If you do the math on it, it's better to get a few points on a lot of assignments than it is to try to just do one assignment and pass your class. So we always say that students should focus on turning in all assignments and at least getting partial credit for those assignments. And as you know, a lot of our teachers are very flexible on late work. So so have them just try to turn in as many assignments as they can. And the last one, how do I contact my teacher? So there is the instructor information on the left-hand side of cohort classes, and it's under student resources if it's Flex. You can also find who their teacher is in Thesis, and you can email them through that email tool that we showed you today. They can also look in their syllabus. The teachers edit their syllabus and add in their information there too. So lots of different ways that you can find that information. All right, well, with that, that wraps up all the items that I was going to present on today. Boy, oh boy, I think I was pretty good on the estimate of those time items because we're right about at the top of the hour. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back to Erica, and Erica can finish us up.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan, for all that information. And thanks everyone for your participation. I'm putting the link to the survey in the chat, so you can just click there to complete the survey. It's the full link for people who have been having a hard time with tiny URLs or shortened survey links. Please use that link to the chat. And thank you guys for your participation. Have a fantastic day.
Just a quick little announcement, I think on the next slide. For all of those of you who are interested in additional information about our face-to-face site coordinator conference that will be happening in the fall during the month of September. So just wanted to let you guys know that this information will be posted on our website by next week. If you haven't received the information already, Region 2 will be hosted in Lewiston, and on the 11th of September, Region 1 is going to be held in Post Falls on September 12th. Region 4 is going to be held on September 18th in Twin Falls. Regions 5 and 6 at the College of Eastern Idaho on September 19th. And Region 3 here in Boise will be at our new Idaho Digital Learning offices on September 28th. Again, this information will be sent out shortly, as well as that information will be posted on our website. So please feel free to contact your regional coordinator if you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I also put my cell phone in the chat window. I told you I'd give you that at the end here. And so all I ask is that if it's after 10 o'clock at night, make sure that it's really important. Other than that, no restrictions on that. Feel free to email me or call me on my cell if you aren't getting support here that you feel like you need, or if it's after hours and you guys have an emergency, that's always open to you. Or if you want to give that to your tech director to call me to talk about those default settings in Google. So any of those is an option, and thank you for the opportunity to present today.